Revolutionary greetings to you, the people of Zimbabwe. I greet you all in the name of active solidarity. My name is Comrade Mlambo. I'm a revolutionary intellectual. Today I'm in Harare and I'm joined by Comrade Treasure Basopo, aka Comrade Majimaji. He's a former student leader at the University of Zimbabwe. He led the 15,000 plus student demonstration that sounded the final death knell to Robert Mugabe's dictatorship in November 2017. But most importantly, I would like to congratulate Comrade Treasure Basopo on his graduation by attaining a BSc Honours degree in economics. So today I'm seated with an economist par excellence. I'm also worried that the state to use unscrupulous means a day to take Comrade Treasure Basopo from enjoying a most important milestone in his life at the graduation ceremony when they illegally detained and arrested them at the University of Zimbabwe Pavilion Center, where there was a makeshift police station. But after all has been said and done, I'm glad that Comrade Treasure Basopo is well and sound and is here today on the Tete as we try to give and as we try to cross-pollinate ideas and obviously give a particular diagnosis to the current crisis that is bedeviling our country, which are all privileged to call home, which is called Zimbabwe. So, Comrade Treasure Basopo,
yes,
welcome to the Tete. How are you, Comrade Treasure Basopo?
Thank you very much, Comrade Brother Mlambo.
Yes.
Thank you very much, all the people who are watching this video. Yeah. I'm happy today being in front of this camera as a graduate, not just a graduate, but an economist from the University of Zimbabwe. I would like to thank my parents and all the comrades who supported this struggle. Yes. Today we are seated here in the Africa Unity Square. This place, Brother Mlambo, reminds me of the 12th of September 1890, when the colonialists came here into this country officially.
The
Union Jack just in this place.
So this place is not only symbolic, but it's also historical and significant in essence.
Yes.
But most importantly, Comrade Treasure Basopo, we are recording this Tete. We are doing this Tete against a backdrop of a plethora of crises that are emanating in our country.
Yeah.
We witnessed a shambolic election on the 31st of July 2018.
Yeah.
We witnessed the crisis of legitimacy further going down as President Emerson Mnangagwa, who was declared by the court, and Priscilla Gumba as the lead of the win of the election, which is highly contested by the majority of our people. So we are in a crisis of legitimacy.
Yes.
But Comrade Basopo, most worryingly, we're in a health crisis. We have witnessed a typhoid and cholera outbreak throughout Zimbabwe. It is very sad that in this very same Harare that we are in, a lot of our compatriots, a lot of our fellow citizens, Hararians, are dying from medieval diseases like cholera. A clear sign that we have a leadership that lacks the care, the craft competence, the obedience, the love, and the respect to transform the material conditions and aspirations of the people of Zimbabwe. We also have got a serious economic crisis that has been spearheaded by Mutuli Ngube, who is masquerading as the Minister of Finance.
Before the economic crisis, Brother Mlambo, it's very unfortunate that the government has this marginal propensity to deflate the figures of the people who are dying from cholera. They do not want to speak to the reality. The reality that the people are dying and the government should be responsible for the people.
By merely accepting that there is a crisis in the first place and acknowledging it's enough so that we can actually find ways to combat the epidemic and outbreak.
No doubt.
But it's said that the misgovernors who presently preside over the state affairs in this country have chosen to lie to the people, have chosen to be oblivious, have chosen to be ignorant. It's ignorance by choice. It's not by default, but it's by choice. But coming back to the economic crisis, Comrade Basopo, you are now an economist. Tell us more on the tax system that Mutuli Ngube has introduced. Tell us more, your comments. What are your comments on the monetary policy statement and the fiscal policy statements that we witnessed 2 weeks ago?
Firstly, the first thing, Comrade Brother Mlambo, that you need to appreciate as a people, that economics by its nature is not a mathematical degree. It's a social science degree. Being a social science degree, it means it speaks directly to the lives of our people. So when a government...
Repeat that point, Comrade Basopo. Repeat that point. It's very important that the people of Zimbabwe get it. It's a social science degree, which means it should speak
exactly
to the societal needs of our people. Okay, you can continue.
So when being an economist, it means you have to be at par with the realities of the people. When the government is raising when the government is raising for the fiscus, when it is raising tax, for instance, it means it has to beef in the fiscus for the purpose of having a bigger fiscal legroom to fund the struggles of the people, to fund the needs of a country. But when we have what we call a regressive tax system, whereby those who have the little amount, those who have the little incomes are the ones who are being taxed more than those who have the elite. That alone, Brother Mlambo, it's problematic.
So in short, you are saying the new tax regime is indicative of the plutocratic nature of the government that we have, it's an elitist government.
The predatory nature.
It's a predatory. According to Dr. Jamsile Shumba,
Yes.
he wrote a book, Party Politics and then the Military Complex,
Yes.
business, military complex.
Yes.
It's a book that clearly indicates or elucidates how Zimbabwe is a predatory state
Yes.
that thrives on taking from the poor. So now, Brother Basopo, as a sociologist, as a Marxist, I will now argue that the new tax regime introduced by the government is now a clear indication that the battle lines have been drawn. It's now a battle between the haves and the have-nots. And the haves are us, the majority of our people, the peasants, the teachers, the civil servants,
No
the
doubt.
vendors, the unemployed graduates. And the haves are the few 5%, the political elite who are politically connected, who own mines, who own the means of production, but who do not want to pay tax.
Yes.
But do not pay tax,
Yes.
yet they are making more money. So the battle lines are now clearly ideological. And it's up to the left to organize the masses of our people and galvanize them around a particular practical struggle
Let it also
for
be-
social and economic development.
Let it also be clear to you, Brother Mlambo,
Yes.
and the people of Zimbabwe,
Yes.
that this taxing that happened as by Professor Mtuli Ngube, that nutty professor from whichever university.
Mickey Mouse,
Yes.
masquerading as an Oxonian.
That one.
Yeah.
It's a serious contravention of Section 71, property rights.
Yes.
The Section 71 of the Constitution that our people voted for. I was called even the date, the 16th, 17th of March, before being probated into power on the
Yes.
22nd of May, in the very same year.
Yeah, follow Jesus Christ,
2016, 2018,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So they contravened that, they abrogated the Constitution, they have even abrogated the Finance Act.
Whereas when the president takes an oath of office,
Yes.
and when cabinet ministers take oath of office, their oath of office,
Yes.
they clearly state that they shall uphold
Uphold.
and respect, uphold, defend, and respect the laws of the country, which and the biggest law of the country, the supreme law of the country is the constitution. So 2 weeks in office, Mutulu Ngube is abrogating the constitution. Mutulu Ngube is setting apart
2
provision
weeks
of
in
the
office.
2 weeks. Imagine 5 more years.
Just following his
2
brother
weeks.
Mnangagwa, less
Yes.
than a year into office, they have a debt of 5
5 billion
They have
from
nothing
November.
to show for the bill.
And what did they use? I was going to ask you about the debt issue, Comrade Basopo. What is the government used the money that they acquired through this debt? And don't you think that this new tax regime is a way for the government to service the debt using taxpayers' money when the taxpayers themselves did not benefit from the very same debt? It was 5 billion inside 5 months. Robert Mugabe didn't do so. He was faulty, he was rogue, he was a dictator. But let's give credit to Mugabe. Never acquired the debt inside 5 months of 5 billion. This is serious mal-economics, this is serious mal-governance. This is a clear sign that the present people who are at the helm of power in number 1 Chancellor Avenue, they don't have the craft competence to lead us from the current economic comatose into a prosperous democratic developmental state, which now comes to the issue of an alternative. Because we can continue to murmur and complain, but what should be the alternative, Comrade Basopo? A modern democratic developmental state,
of course.
a welfareist system where we take care of the poor, where we take care of the socially vulnerable.
Yes.
And as an economist, you know that economies, by their very nature, are run on principles and the fundamentals,
Yes.
the principles of macroeconomic stability, fiscal discipline. What Ndebiti used to call you eat what you kill.
I always say,
discipline.
Brother Mlambo, in the function of a macroeconomic stability that you want to, in the function of economic growth, there's one thing which is called an unquantifiable, a variable called uncertainty. Issues to do with uncertainty and issues to do with the trust, like people always say, the breakdown of the social contract, they are doing a disservice to this country.
Yes.
The people, they are naturally not participating in some of the things that even the government proffers because of the history this government has been having, where we have what we would like to call constitutionalized injustice or constitutionalized theft, where a government just wakes up like what happened right now, saying no, we are separating the.
So it's rule by law, not the rule of law.
No doubt, it's not fair.
Using the law to propagate accumulation by the wealth.
You promise the citizens by having a bond, a note which is
equivalent to what, to US dollar.
Then on the night of the one day, you just wake up
And you say,
on the side of your bed. Then you just decide to
you wake up from the wrong side of your bed and you declare unconstitutionally that I know the bond note and the US dollar are not the same. And this is the finance minister. And the Reserve Bank governor maintains that the US dollar and the bond note are the same. So if the Reserve Bank governor who works in tandem, we're supposed to work in tandem and consistently with the Minister of Finance are saying contradictory things. How does that do for Zimbabwe sober and for business? How does that do for ease of doing business, investor confidence? Which means the government itself is shooting itself in the foot. In fact, Mangudja and Mutule Ngube should be charged with the treason. They are violating the constitution of Zimbabwe, which they swore to uphold. But the Comrade Basopo, tell us more on how we can solve the present economic mess.
Well, Commander, Comrade, Brother Mlambo, we have always been saying that the issue of the current economic comatose can only be liquidated, can only be dismantled, can only be extirpated or to be completely removed by a firstly, what you need to do to maintain macroeconomic stability is to have people who are sincere, people who want to save their country, not for the purpose of self-aggrandizement, but for the purpose of saving a nation to move forward. Let's take basic things like I used to listen to Tendai Beat when I was in Form 5 and Form 6, when I was talking of we eat what you kill. Those basic policies that the government should be accountable. Let's consume that which you are producing. We cannot consume
out beyond our means.
Yes.
Let's learn to cut our clothes according to our size.
Yeah, when the government wants to impress chiefs, and then
cars
they borrow.
4 million.
It's very unfortunate that amongst the debt we have, more than 6 billion of it is because of a cumulative interest rates. The interest that is arising from the debts. But the government doesn't even
the care or the decency.
They just borrow, knowing that you guys are going to.
The taxpayer is going to pay.
So you need people have an appreciation, not just of economics, but of Ubuntu, Unism, values.
And they said that they are now saying they want to pursue free market economics.
Yes.
Free market economics, by its very nature, does not have any value system that is people-centric. That's why we are calling for a social democratic state.
Okay.
Because the alternative to neoliberalism is obviously the left, but the left, not the outer left, but the center left, where we have a social democratic state, where obviously the market forces play their part, but equally we need the state to play an evident role in the economy.
Exactly.
And the state now, a developmental state, Basopo, is whereby the state now uses its autonomy to negotiate with the various social partners and with those with the various interests, so that at the end of the day there is an agreement. Hence the social contract, which is constantly renegotiated,
when you are there, brother,
and cohesion.
You remind me of the situation of our pharmacies.
Yes.
Whereby, for instance, in Mashungu, Manikal and where I was, if pharmacies will just wake up one day, all of them they are shut down.
Yes.
Simply because there is an attrition between the pharmacists, that is the private sector, and the government.
Yes.
They are saying, the government is saying, you guys just say your things in the price, but the government is not giving them a
foreign currency to import the pills. And the government is not even making efforts to make sure that we have our own pharmaceutical industries to manufacture our own drugs, so that we cut on the trade deficit. They are not doing so. So at the end of the day, we realize this is a government that is commandist in nature. It's not a government that is social democratic in inclination.
Agriculture.
So when you command agriculture, command tomato keeping, command everything, command voting, command legitimacy, which is after all is not attainable at this juncture, because as they are saying, and it's said that because of the political.
That's why you're seeing all these police officers in Africa
rounding about. We are not even safe in this country, because everywhere you see police officers. Is this a police state?
No.
Are people not allowed to walk freely? Are we in a war? If they declare the state of emergency,
look at the amount of fuel, for instance, that they are using.
That the police are using to just meander around.
Who is paying for that?
Cluelessly. Who is the taxpayer? Who is already paying another 2% tax? So that alone shows that we don't have a sincere government. But to conclude our Basopo, which has come after a long period of time, it is prudent that as young people will begin to organize, as young people begin to shape up, as young people begin to write and proffer the necessary intellectual thought leadership. We are not an economist. Make sure that we now begin to write alternative economic policies, and we also organize political. Because we can write books, we can write papers, economic papers, and provide them to the present government, but they won't listen because they are bent on not listening, because they are bent on cluelessness, they are bent on indifference, they are bent on insanity, they are bent on inertia. So when we have organically organized ideas, we then now pursue the route of taking political power, because only young people can carry out a practical struggle for social and economic transformation. We must never be fools to think that the old generation that led the liberation struggle, thumbs up to them, they now need to rest. The 1990s generation must take over. The 1995 generation must take over. The early 2000s, the millennials must now take over. They are techno-savvy. They understand the contemporary challenges that are posed even by globalization. They understand the contemporary challenges that are affecting them, because we are living unemployment, we are living poverty, we are living a state which does not care, a state which is not providing basic social services to its people.
I can assure you, Brother Mlambo, that electoral authoritarianism, dictatorship, despotism, all those forms of repression and oppression
according
of
to the
ordinary
Fiscal
people,
way.
of course, no doubt. about,
Yes.
they are not sustainable.
Yes.
This country will definitely not be able to sustain itself when they want to do everything according to command, like you're saying.
We need a democratic state.
We need a modern democratic development state, like you're saying,
yes.
which is pro-poor one, and which is very inclusive. People, they must participate in the struggles of their country.
And
People must contribute.
People must, because you spoke of the social contract. Sorry to cut you, brother Basopo. It is important. The biggest deficit is not the trade deficit, not the budget deficit. The biggest deficit in Zimbabwe is the trust deficit. So long as there is no cohesion, mark my words, even if the Chinese, the African Development Bank, the World Bank, the IMF are to pour in $1 trillion tomorrow or yesterday, for today is rather too late into this economy, it won't kickstart, it won't be productive. Why? Because the citizens, the government and the governors are not in sync.
As long as you have this inequality which is behaving in a country, which is demographic, whereby those who are older, those who participate in the liberation and manage to maneuver, they are in the top positions of power and the top echelons of economic participation. They are the rich. Look at the guys, look even the army, the police. Those who are older and having bigger ranks, they're the one who are rich. But those
the ordinary soldiers equally suffering.
Besides the ordinary soldier, even those who have ranks in the police officers, but they are young.
But they are equally suffering.
They don't have land. They have nothing. Their kids are still going into the primary schools. But
the chefs are now being treated in South Africa. We understand. We understand that when they get sick, even if they have a minor toothache, they fly to South Africa with a private jet. But you and I, when we get sick, we go to Parinyat or Harare Hospital. There are no nurses. There are no doctors. There is no proper medical facility.
Even they want to bleach, they go to South Africa.
Even if they want to bleach, they go to South Africa. Even if they want to address the effects of bleaching, they go back to the same South Africa. But thank you very much, comrades. I remain yours truly, Comrade Mlambo, a revolutionary intellectual. Thank you very much, Zimbabwe. We will be releasing more videos because we are now committed to the tete-a-tete. We definitely, Zimbabweans, we should always shape up and never shape up. Comrade Brother Basopo and I have decided to shape up. We are clear on the way forward. A modern democratic developmental state will usher Zimbabwe to prosperity, transformation, and opportunity. Your final parting shows, Comrade.
Thank you, comrades. Thank you, Zimbabwe. I'm here with my brother, of course. He needs cheap Chinese made gugus. We are enjoying as you just articulating these issues, but as it stands, comrades, we are in a serious and deep economic quagmire. It's painful, Brother Mlambo. I graduated in a borrowed suit. I graduated in a borrowed tie, a borrowed shirt.
Because of the crisis.
Because of the crisis. Borrowed socks, Brother Mlambo. That was not enjoyable. But Zimbabweans, Kakumbo Zikomo Kwambili, let's continue fighting. The struggle in this country is our struggle. Zikomo Kwambili, like I said, comrade, Aluta, continue. Asante sana. Moi, comrades, moi.